Hi, this is Sonia and welcome back to my art YouTube channel. This video the title is Why You Shouldn't Take Your Art Too Seriously or Have a Laugh with Your Art. And it follows on from my previous video, which had the topic of the converse, I guess two sides to the coin, why you should take your art seriously and maybe romanticize your art. And I just felt like they're both valid, it's like that sort of school essay. There's valid interesting thoughts on both sides of this. So I thought today it'd be fun to do, and I'll try and keep it a little bit briefer, but why you shouldn't take your art too seriously. So yeah, firstly, and I will also, what's the word? Impose, not impose. What's the word? Insert, oversert. I'll try and insert a process video. So there's some of like my sort of more joyful, non-serious art to see as well as I talk through a few points. I mean, I guess sometimes I'm like, this isn't rocket science. This is probably really obvious, but I guess it's sort of a pep talk to myself at the moment. Like I try and share the things that I'm thinking about, I'm interested in, and a lot of art, I think, is actually sometimes it's mental. It's like there's mental motivation. It's a bit like with running. A lot they say with running, isn't it? Some of it's not just physical. It's like mental psychology of it. And for me, I guess I'm trying to like get myself to enjoy it and to fully commit. Just I'm giving myself a bit of a pep talk too. But yeah, it's obvious for why we shouldn't take it too seriously. It's just art, and I think there's something rather lovely in that, for especially those of us who've maybe had some sort of more serious jobs in the past where you've maybe felt a lot of pressure. The point is that with your own art practice, it's nice to know that you don't have to take it too seriously. Okay, this might be a bit different for you guys who are professional full-time artists and your family income depends on it. I get that's a little bit different, but I still think, you read about for full-time artists as well, you need a little bit of relaxation and still want to enjoy your creativity. So I do think there's something to be said for, just allowing ourselves to be lighthearted, see the funny side of when things go wrong in our art. Like sometimes art can be I like art that can be quite funny and lighthearted too. I'm thinking like David Shrigley. There's a lot of artists who, and sometimes they're making sort of serious points. They're still serious artists, but their work it's not sort of heavy and sort of necessarily in your face or making necessarily a political statement or something. Anyway, and I also think it's nice to allow ourselves, like I like to think about it when I'm thinking more lightheartedly, like to allow yourselves to draw beauty, to see, and beauty can be in decorative, I guess it's sometimes put down in art history, but domestic scenes and still lifes and florals or, comical art, naive art. So, and there's also, I remember watching a documentary, there is also beauty in the ugly as well, in ugly art. That can actually be, I think, I think a lot of people think rather beautiful. So, yeah. Then I put here, sometimes I guess we might feel a little bit when we get into art, if you watch too many sort of serious documentaries, compelled or pressure to make that sort of serious art. So it's art that, you feel like you want to make great art, which sounds a bit grandiose, or art that's commenting on something or is making a statement, or I don't know, about the serious issues that are going on. But the reality is there's lots of artists doing that, contemporary artists, and they're doing it very well, and you can go to museums, and I like that because especially in these sort of big museum spaces like the Tate Gallery, then I feel like there is that art may fit in there. But for those of us who are maybe, be it hobby artists or part-time, like myself, part-time artists, or not focused on, like there is something to be said. I think the world also needs the joyful, happy art, the kitsch, and decorative art. People also sometimes malign a bit decorative art. I think Grayson Perry spoke quite well on this because, his sort of pottery and treating it as a craft. So I think, and the other thing is like happy art or non-serious art still makes you think, or gives you, sort of can allow sort of depth of thought. And I think also when you think about art that can make you laugh, like you think about stand-up comedians, a lot of stand-up comedians, they have quite, we've talked about having tricky backgrounds, being differently wired perhaps, and their sort of comedy has been an outlet for their sort of, be it traumas or other struggles in life. And I sometimes wonder if that's the same for us as fine artists, that maybe for people who've had tricky times, like you don't necessarily want to focus on that. I mean, obviously there's good, obviously if you need therapy, or there's appropriate means to do that, but maybe in your art, I mean obviously there's art therapy, but in an art practice, or it's a chance to escape, to do something therapeutic, and it can be a bit more maybe hopeful and lighthearted. So yeah, and also I think as artists it's quite fun in that respect. Like the comedians sort of riff on a theme and ad lib. We get to, when we're making our art, and it's joyful. When we're really in the process, it's just when you are sort of in that happy place, I think you just get, it's interesting what results you get when you're in a sort of a joyful sort of in the flow, as it were. So how do we, if we want to, obviously sometimes, and I talked about doing, you might want to sometimes do serious art, but other times you might want to do light-hearted, sort of expansive art that feels easy and brings you joy. How can we lighten up? Number one, I would say, what are you doing? Sometimes people work in silence. We all work in different environments. I would say definitely for myself, I'm talking to myself here, I don't think it's helpful for me to listen to the news while I'm wanting to make light-hearted, happy art. I love to listen to music. I think music is such a personal thing, so we all have our own musical tastes. Comedy, I've listened to comedy. There's nothing, when I'm talking about, this is one of the points, like when I look back on a few serious times in life, I've really appreciated like comedy shows. Or I just remember being a teenager, like with my girlfriends, and or when you're younger, with really good friends, when you do when you just like belly laugh, and you know that laughing and comedy or laughing at something is good for you, like you feel that sense of like, yeah, I just think that's a great feeling. And you can do that while drawing as well, if you're listening to something which is quite light-hearted. And positive, more positive videos we can get. I like to listen to, yeah, you may not want to listen to anything too heavy, basically. Hopefully this is going to be focusing more on the positive as well. Okay, and then I put, what else have I put down here? Oh, in the terms of the process, I think the other reason that it's good to embrace not taking art too seriously is then I think if we're in a more light-hearted way of working, I wonder if I'm just wondering, maybe, and I'm saying this for myself, maybe I'm enjoying the process more. And in terms of, and sometimes I feel like I get better results as well. And the other thing is, like in terms of like just behavioural, I guess, science, if we've enjoyed something and we've found a process pleasurable, I think then we're more likely to repeat that process and want to do it more often. So it's a great way of, for people, if you're struggling, you've had a break from art, or struggling to get into art and feeling a bit meh, and I don't know, just the art seems a bit heavy, I guess it might be time to have a look at how you can change up, get a bit more light-hearted and joyful. What blocks could be sort of holding you back? One of the ways also is obviously to reduce the pressure. Like we just said, like it's just art. How can you make that even low pressure? So just obvious things, I guess, like don't use your best, most expensive materials that you've, or that you worry that are quite precious. Like recycle, look in your trash can. I mean, cardboard. I'm just looking on my floor because I've got a load of papers. I've got a video that I've started painting over some big drawing sheets again, using up old paint, whatever you've got. What have I put here? Trash bin art. Yeah, I guess that's just like your paper from recycling. Use it for collage materials, make bad art, go bright, less pressure light, change up. Okay, there's color psychology. And so you might want to tap into, I don't know, mood and feeling. Look at that, like neons for me. Bit of, like, I've got this one here. This one makes me feel, this is kind of like my happy art. I need to get back to doing that. That's the other reason I'm doing this video, because I feel like I've got a bit serious in some ways. And I feel like when I get too serious, I start to like, not, it puts me off doing big canvases. And I just need to, I personally need to like lighten up a bit. Okay, so then I put here, the other thing, if you're looking at how to sort of do more of it and more joyful art, is to look at so for example, what art are you drawn to? Like, are there any artists that you're a bit jealous of? I think if you're getting a bit of envy, that might be a good indication that you kind of want to be making the art they're making, even if it's very different from you. And that's okay. Like, I think sometimes there's pressure on us not to, I don't know, to become masters in one genre, and that's fine. If you want to become a skillful, I'm not trying to say don't stick with something. I understand the value in grit and, getting over that curve, like becoming a master of a subject. But if you're feeling envious of another artist and you really think, oh gosh, they look like they're having so much fun, maybe just give yourself a project 10 minutes a day to sort of do the art that they're doing. I mean, I think that was one thing for me why I started doing abstract art, to be honest with you. And you might also think, which is good, maybe you see some of my like journals, you're like, oh, I could do better than that. And that's a great incentive as well to go and do some art. What else have I put here? So I think I've gone through it all actually, which is quite good. Oh, one more thing. Okay, the big thing here, which I feel to hopefully end this hopefully video essay, is that the one thing I think it is worth taking. So you might not want to take your actual art or art process seriously, but I think there is something to be said. I still stand for take seriously. What have I written here? Take seriously making time for your art. I think, I think if you're too lighthearted in, oh, it's just art. I mean, there's 101 things that are going to come before it. But if you actually, I think there is something to be said that's in the previous video, for looking at how you can squeeze out some time into your day, and you're going to take that art time seriously, but the art that you're going to make in that time, maybe if you're having a little bit of it's not going the way you want, maybe have a think, and this is me talking to myself, maybe have a think about how you can take the pressure off yourself, how you can embrace having a laugh at your own art. Like, sometimes if you make a mistake, I'll draw my kids, if I give them cone heads, I'm like, what the heck? Sometimes I show them, I'm like, look at this is, embrace the mistakes, embrace which a lot of artists talk about, ugly bad art. And also embrace the beauty in art. I think it's okay to like what you like, and to like beautiful, if you want to put beauty in your art because that cheers you up, then maybe focus on that. I think that's it from me. I can't think of anything else. So hopefully I will be able to insert a process video, and I'm just getting to grips with getting back to this sort of format of video. Okay, so I'm going to add a voiceover to this segment because, quite frankly, I stuffed up the ending to the video. I got distracted, I went off on a tangent, and then my phone went off. So basically I wanted to add this segment anyway because I'm hopefully showing, this is me working on the floor. This is how I like to work sometimes. This is, I guess, me trying to embrace the whole not taking it all too seriously, like just get down and get working on a bit of a larger scale. But there was no pressure here because I was reusing, to the left is a bit of paper that I did that was from A-levels when I was sort of drawing some figures, and I remember submitting that in my portfolio. But I'm like, I can paint over that now or reuse it and just have some fun and not put too much. This doesn't have to be serious, and I can take the time I have seriously. I think in some ways going bigger again, getting a bit more expressive, is me actually taking my art more seriously. But the art itself, I don't have to put so much pressure and yeah, make it like a big thing, if that makes sense, after that talk. So yeah, and here I am using, I wanted some orange and neons, I just squeeze it out. And this isn't going to be finished, this is just me starting off these papers. It's quite fun having lots of, I think a lot of artists do this, especially at the moment, especially mixed media artists, have a lot of different artworks on the go at once, not just working on one piece. Has really worked well for me. I put some work where I'm looking at ahead of me just to give me some inspiration. I was like, maybe I can sort of combine those different pieces, even though they're very different, together. So I end up actually drawing some leaf shapes. And then I end up using oil pastel, so very mixed media approach here. But yeah, just to finish this video off appropriately, yeah, thank you if you've got this far and watched it. As I said, I just wanted to, I'm trying to be a bit more, also less serious in how I approach YouTube in some ways, like try and get the fun and enjoyment back for me to make it, I don't know, it's got to hopefully benefit my creative process too. Like I am an artist, I need to be making the art, or why am I sharing here? So yeah, it's kind of a two-way thing. I thank you for all your comments, it's really helpful for me actually to know, you know, if you've got any questions or anything you're working on. I think one of my ideas is I've just realised I've been on YouTube for about a year now, so I was thinking of doing a video on the pros and cons of having an art YouTube channel. Of which, yeah, it'll be totally my own personal opinion. I'm a small YouTube channel, but I feel like I've got my own thoughts on this. And, I'm not sponsored by anyone or selling, as it were, like how to do well on YouTube. So I can give you sort of my opinion, really. So yeah, if any of you are interested in, that's my laptop getting a bit fancy, interested in setting up your own channel, like put some questions down and maybe I can answer them in that video. But yes, I think also I've got some I'm scratching my eye there, that was attractive. I've got what's it called, I've got a sketchbook tour to do as well, because I finished an anything goes journal that I'm actually kind of like, it's definitely anything goes, but there's some talking about lighthearted free pieces. I feel like I really am exploring, like just mucking around and yeah, not taking it at all seriously. Here I think I've got this in real time. I did talk about this, but I deleted my my description because basically, I mean, you can see my floor's a mess and I've made 2 pieces of art, well, and they're completely unfinished art. But yeah, it's just fun to get back to working a bit large scale. I think I was sort of getting, stopping myself from, I don't know, I was just, don't get me wrong, I love sketchbooks. Sketchbooks are my primary, my go-to. But it's fun to embrace, going larger, but how to do that without taking it all too seriously. So yeah, this was my video on why you should also not take your art too seriously and just sometimes have a laugh with it too. And yeah, basically I will thank you for watching again and I'll see you next time. Bye.